Welcome to the National Cancer Survivors Day, an annual event that celebrates those who have survived cancer, inspires those who have been recently diagnosed, supports the families, and raises awareness in our communities of the challenges of cancer survivorship. I am Amy Kerman, Program Coordinator of the Beth C. Wright Cancer Resource Center in Ellsworth, Maine. Our organization is a member of the Association of Maine Cancer Support Centers, which is a network of centers across Maine that work together to provide enhanced services and programs to people impacted by cancer and to expand the availability of these supports throughout our state. We come together this weekend to host a variety of wellness activities, cooking demonstrations, survivor interviews, and more. Today, I would like to introduce you to Sarah Domarecki, a trained writing instructor with an MA in English and creative writing, who herself had that unexpected cancer diagnosis and now wishes to use the gift of survival to help others process their own experiences. Sarah has extensive experience as a teacher of writing, French, history, and visual art, and she believes in the power of our written words to make sense and bring meaning to life experiences. Sarah, thank you for joining us today and sharing your story. And if you would please begin by telling us a little bit about your diagnosis and treatment.
Yes, thank you so much, Amy. It's nice to be here with you. Um, well, I'll be slightly graphic about feminine details. I had heavy periods for over a year, which was new, but I sort of thought, oh, my mom had that. That's just, premenopausal symptom. But I finally went to the doctor, and she referred me to more of a specialist who, oh, I can't remember all the details, but it turned out, long story short, I had early stage endometrial cancer. I was lucky. They got it quickly. They got it early. So I was sent down to southern Maine to have surgery. I had a full hysterectomy a month before Christmas. It all happened very fast. I got a diagnosis in October, and I think less than a month later, I had surgery. So it was very sudden. I had just accepted a teaching job. I started teaching when I found out, and I was like, whoa, I had to tell my boss because I needed to take some time off from work. I said I wouldn't have applied for this job if I'd known, but I didn't know. So I had to sort of go on with my life, with my teaching, taking care of my kids. But then I did have to take time out to have surgery and recover. And I was very fortunate because I have a brother who lives on the coast, halfway down the coast. I stayed with him just before and then during the first couple of weeks after my surgery. And he drove me down and back the day I had surgery. So I had a lot of help and a lot of support. So I guess I'm done because they said they got it all, but I have follow-up appointments every 6 months for 5 years. The first one's coming up at the end of June, just to see that all is well. They also referred me for genetic counseling, genetic testing, and I just got the call today to set up an appointment to go over that. And I thought, like technically I'm done, but I still had that little scare, like they want to meet me. Is it bad news? And so I'm trying to think, okay, well, I don't know what it is yet, but it's probably just they do a follow up. But I like to think I'm out of the woods, knock on wood, but there's still little, outstanding things I have to deal with, which I guess is part of the experience.
Yeah. So gosh, I hope you're out of the woods too. But it sounds like everything did unfold so quickly for you. So during that time, as quickly as it went, can you recall a specific challenge during that part of your cancer journey, and tell us about how you overcame it?
Well, I mean, um,
There
cancer's
must have
never.
been many.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking. I mean, I there's lots of ways to think about it, but in some ways, I feel funny talking about myself as a cancer survivor because knock on wood, if this is all it is, and I hope it is, then it was light and quick. I mean, it was a relatively mild case. They were able to get it quickly. They say they hopefully got it. They said 97% chance that they got it all, but if they missed a stray cell, there's a chance it could come back. So I'm focusing on the positive, but aware of that there's that possibility. And I have friends who've dealt with much worse, much harder things, much more advanced diagnoses and difficult treatment. And so some of the things I say, I mean, it's easier to be positive and cheerful because I have had a milder case. So I don't want to sound like, Pollyanna, all, oh, cancer's good, cancer's fine, cancer's easy, because everybody has a different experience. Um, so for me, so far, knock on wood, it's been a manageable experience because it was caught quickly and dealt with. But I also had a lot of support. I had, a loving family who were helping me and praying for me. Um, Keep in mind too, though, cancer is never the only challenge that people are dealing with. Like, in addition to that, over the past couple of years, I've been dealing with separation and divorce, job stress, worries about my children sometimes, worried about a child's health and well-being, of course, the pandemic, as we all have been experiencing. And so it's part of the challenges of life. And I sort of seen sometimes cancer as a metaphor for life. Like the way you respond to cancer is the way you respond to life. Like you could say, oh, another thing, oh, this is happening to me. Or, like in my case, especially because I did get through it, knock on wood, quickly, feeling very fortunate. I mean, I feel gratitude that it was a mild case. They caught it early. I had very good medical care, excellent doctors and surgeons who helped me along the way. And so coming out of that feeling grateful, that's what made me want to, give back and do something to help others who are on this path. So it's funny, I don't think of myself as a cancer survivor, but technically I suppose I am. And, I got so much else I'm thinking about. I don't think about too much, but I do think part of the responsibility, if you get through, is sort of educating and sharing your experience with others, even if it's to say graphically, if you have really heavy periods, check it out. Get your medical tests. Like there was a case where I did not want to have a biopsy. I can't remember what came. I had to have an ultrasound, whatever. The doctor recommended that I have a biopsy on the slight chance that I might have cancer. I'm like, I'm sure it's a very low chance. I really don't want to do that. She's like, okay, well, you're an adult. You can make your own decisions, but why don't we at least do the ultrasound? And if it finds anything unusual, then maybe we can proceed. So fortunately, the ultrasound did see a thickening of the lining of the uterus. So that's the endometrium, I guess. So that's when she said, I think we better go ahead and do that biopsy. I said, yes, you're right. And then it found it. So, part of my witnessing, part of my educating is get those tests even when you don't want to, because if I had continued to ignore it, maybe I wouldn't have been as lucky. Um, I'm sorry, I've got lost track of your question, but you can ask another
Well,
one.
it sounds like you had really good medical support and family support, but I'm wondering if there was ever a moment where you felt like, oh, this is just too much. This is really a part of your experience that was just such a big challenge, whether it was your job situation or family life, or part of the medical process, in that it went so fast, maybe. Did it seem too fast at any point?
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like the medical thing that not went smoothly. I feel fortunate. I mean, I think probably the bigger life challenges are just, the stress of life going through separation, divorce. I mean, divorced now, but it was a kind of a long separation in a way that's kind of hard because that's the painful part is sort of lingering. And then raising children in that environment is not ideal. So I feel, I've felt concerned for my children. And my family even wondered, when I got this cancer diagnosis, because I am considered young for this diagnosis too. They wondered if I was living in an unhealthy, home environment with my ex, maybe. But I didn't choose to dwell on that possibility. But I do feel grateful, to have taken care of the cancer as far as I know, and also to, now be divorced. I feel like that chapter is behind me and can kind of go forward, with life, with my work, but still, still worries about my kids and other things that I deal with, and just wondering, what's the next thing? My genetic testing, how did that go? Um, it's like I am a bit of a worrier, so things have definitely made me worry along the way. But I also, as I said, I also feel grateful just to have life. I have life now, and I have something I can share with others. So I want to do that.
So it sounds like you've been able to stay fairly positive throughout this experience. So where does that strength come from?
I mean, I think when you go through challenging things, it reminds you how strong you are, when you have to face things. And I think just having support, the support of a family. I'm one of seven children. My mother has always been there for me, and my sisters and brothers. There's a lot of support. Um, and I suppose there's probably some spiritual faith which has been, you know, strengthened, like feeling. I mean, I feel that life is a gift. I'm lucky to have it, and the fact that I am a worrier, I've often courted trouble, worried about things before they even happened. I never worried about getting cancer, so of course that happened, right? Because the things you worry about don't happen. That's why you worry. Um, but I think sort of some reconnection to my spiritual beliefs and feeling, and this I'd want others to know too, that you're not alone. I mean, none of us are alone, although it feels like it at times. So prayer can sometimes be helpful. Just remember that there are people to help and support you when you're on this journey, and you can also be one of the people who helps and supports people. And that's one of the gifts, I think, if you are able to come through it, to sort of find who you are, that connect to whatever that is, and then take that into the rest of your life. And for me, as a teacher, there are days that I'm exhausted. It's physically draining, going to work and working all day with kids, and a lot of them have their struggles. And there are days I have to pray just to get me through the day because it's so tiring. But I also feel like I'm giving. When you're giving of yourself in anything, you're doing good work. Um, and I feel blessed to do that, to be someone who can give something to others. And I guess I figure, I didn't expect a diagnosis like this, but it's part of my journey now, part of who I am, and sort of stay connected to, what is this piece? What am I learning from it? I think I'm learning just life is a gift. Like, don't forget that it's a gift, and treasure it, and share it with others. That's why I wanted to do that class. Even though again, I was tired because I was teaching and it was an extra thing, but it ended up being a gift to me, working with other cancer survivors and telling their stories. We had, I don't know, 5 or 6 of us, and we would talk and write and share our experiences, talk about different things we'd gone through. Many of them had had more intense cancer journey stories than I had, but they were all powerful in different ways. And some people had other things, like other health things that they were dealing with, and we talked about that. We talked about just the challenges of life, and humor, the perspective, all those things that you bring to it. And I talk about the power of the written word in terms of writing, but I've been doing a lot of visual art this year as an art teacher, and even without the power of the written word, you could access some of those same things maybe by doing art. And art can be, I've learned, can be a kind of meditation, or it could be horseback riding. A couple of the people in the class love to do horseback riding, and one woman rides a motorcycle, or it could be out in nature. Whatever that thing is that you access, sort of your connection to a deep sense of who you are, maybe in the spirit, and then what that is. I think that helps you bring you wholeness. And so maybe when you've had a bout of illness, it reminds you to make sure you do things to help you be well. And it might be writing, art, nature, exercise, whatever that thing is, connecting to others, do that thing. So you can be well, be whole, and then be someone who can be a gift to others.
Just to explain a little bit for people who are listening, that Sarah did a writing workshop for the Beth Wright Cancer Resource Center, and led a small group through writing exercises for, what was it, 4 weeks? So we're so grateful to you to share all of that with the folks who participated. And it sounds like it nourished you just as much as the participants. And I'm wondering about those connections that you made with other people who are still living with cancer. And if maybe there were other folks that you met along the way during your journey.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I did enjoy working with those people so much, and I think it really became a gift to all of us together from each other, because there was a synergy of these stories. It happened, it was all women. And so any time middle-aged women get in the room together, there's always going to be stories you could tell. I mean, we could have talked about all man number of things, even if cancer had never been part of it. But of course, it was part of it. And it was very enriching for us all. And I've actually not been in touch since, so I should try to get in touch and maybe find out what everybody's up to, because it would be nice to connect again. Kind of like I was just when you talk about people I met on my journey, I was thinking of the people in the hospital that day, and of course I had these lovely conversations because everyone is so nice. That the intake people and the nurses and the person who has to give you the IV and then use the IV and I'm like using the F word. She's like, oh, don't worry, I've heard it all. The anesthesiologist, like everyone is so nice, and I can't remember all the names and faces. Of course, I was drugged half the time, but feeling really grateful that they were, so kind and present, which reminds me of the day I had my children in the hospital. And again, the nurses, like the people who are there with you. I guess when you have those moments, like the big moments are about life and death, like in the hospital having my children or in the hospital having major surgery, like people, you realize how many helpers there are. And for them, just like for me, teaching is a daily thing. I do it every day, but I know it's a blessing, for the kids that I do it, because I remember what it was like to be a student and how much it means to you when the teacher's, kind to you or inspires you or shares something important with you. And so people in the health profession, I've been fortunate not to have a lot of experience with that because I've always been in good health, but I did have two children, natural childbirth, and then I did have this experience. And so just meeting more people along the way, just doing their work, doing their job every day, but they're giving and caring. Like I really value the helpers, the people who are helping in the world where there's a lot of bad news a lot of times. And it's just nice when you have connections to the people who do good things and help people, um, which I guess is another positive part of this journey.
It it does seem that when you go through something so traumatic in a way that um, it's remarkable to see the positivity through things, whether it's people who are being kind to you or the connections that you make with others who want to help you. And then you're able to exchange that for helping them at the same time or later on. Um, it can be a real awakening to all the good there is in life when you're going through something that's so difficult, don't you
Yes,
think?
yes, that's very true. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of suffering in the world, but there's also a lot of goodness. And, I guess I feel blessed whenever I encountered it, even though,
Mhm.
wouldn't have chosen to be in the hospital in Southern Maine having surgery. But if I'm there, then I'm having meeting some really lovely people doing their
Yeah.
work. And I'm, grateful for that.
Yeah. So is there anything specific that you learned about yourself along the way?
Um, Again, this and my other challenges, um, separation divorce is probably even harder challenge than maybe because it wasn't as quick. Um, and then raising my children, like all these challenges, I think life is hard, but it's also a gift. Um, and I've realized that I'm strong, I'm loved, and I'm blessed. And I feel very fortunate. And it doesn't mean I'm perfect, and I'm not a goody goody, even though I probably sound like it during some of this interview, because I swear my room's a mess. I make mistakes. I've hurt people. I still feel bad about those times, but I also, I don't know, when you deal with a big thing like this, it reminds you of the most important things. Even the guy I saw at my follow-up appointment a few weeks after the surgery sort of agreed that you realize you have to let go a lot of the bullshit in life when you deal with something like this. And then maybe what are the things that are not maybe so worth my time? Maybe some things I want to let go of so I can focus on the things that are most important um, in life. So I think if you get cancer light and you live to tell the tale, it can be a gift because it reminds you. It's like a brush. It's like a brush with your mortality. It's a reminder, a wake up call. Like we all know that we're going to die, but it's sort of a more reminder. Oh yeah, don't forget to live. it's like, it can be a reset for life. Don't forget to live from your deepest sense of who you are, your values, and, maybe think about, try to connect to, why are we here? Why are we on earth? What's the point of life, and why are we in this universe? Or a counselor used to tell me, remember who you are. And at the time I was kind of lost, because I was like, what do you mean, remember who I am? I was like, I don't even know who I am. But I do know now. And maybe having some time to go through these different experiences has helped me sort of rediscover who I am. Like the child, the young child who loved art a long time ago, and now I'm teaching art. The young child who, there were kids who were mean to me at school because I was very shy and quiet, and I didn't have a lot of defenses, and I didn't know how to stand up for myself. And so some, kids aren't always nice. Some kids were mean to me. But now I'm in a school and helping kids, and very sensitive to those kids who maybe need a little extra kindness, or someone looking out for them. So I feel like life goes full circle eventually, and maybe a place where you were hurting before, you can be helping. Like those are, that's a life challenge I had long ago. But I think and it did hurt me for years, I have to say, but it sort of has been healed, I think, by the experiences of life. So you talk about the cancer, but it's just a drop in the bucket when you think of everything you go through in a life. It's just, but it kind of echoes some of those things. And maybe the way you respond to your diagnosis, and, just choose to handle it, is how you handle other challenges that are thrown at you. And I don't want to tempt fate and get a worse cancer now that I've said this. Like, oh, well, why don't you try another one and see? Because
No,
I've
no.
learned my lesson. I don't need any more. I've had enough. I'm just saying, though, like, I think I'll try to, whatever it is, try to keep that faith and positive attitude, because how else are you going to live? How
Well,
else?
it sounds like this experience um, has given you so much perspective and has given you a powerful message about life.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can share it with everybody with such a positive attitude is remarkable, I think.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I know everyone has stories, and it actually makes me interested to hear more from other people, um, because we all probably take different things. Maybe we get what we need to learn. I don't know. I guess there's a certain faith that in life we are sent the challenges that we're meant to have to learn certain things, certain life lessons. And so I often will think when I'm going through, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? What meaning does this have for me? And that's why I want to do the writing workshop, to kind of help people access that. I used to need to write to understand things. I would often write a journal because I had trouble accessing what I was thinking or feeling. And I've gotten better at being able to do it without writing. So now I've gotten lazy and I don't write as much. But however you can access that, just to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what it means, I think that's part of finding wholeness and wellness, um, which I hope, take going forward.
It's good advice. Any creative outlet is so important for handling life's ups and downs. And I think you found it in
Yeah.
your writing and your art, right?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yep.
And
Those
how
are,
nice that you rediscovered your art from childhood to now as an adult. It's a wonderful, wonderful connection with your past.
it is. That's how teaching can be like a gift. I mean, you're sharing so much of yourself with others, but then, you get something in return. And that's the thing, whenever you're giving, you get something in return. So I think that's just a good way to approach life.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I've heard a lot of very inspiring messages, and I think your positivity is contagious. So thank you so much. And I hope our listeners have enjoyed hearing your story, and will get a lot out of your experience.
Oh, thank you. And best wishes to all the listeners. Best wishes with your own lives and stories.
Thank you.